Hello again and welcome back to this wonderful week. We are on week 6 of distance learning and we are, 7 school days away from being ready for summer vacation. You guys have made it almost the way through 5th grade. I'm very proud of you guys for all the hard work you're putting in and all the things you're getting done. All right, let's take a look at this week's jobs. Technically, Monday I gave you off since it was Memorial Day. But just in case you did some of the work today, let me go through some of it. I will help you with both Monday's and today's work in just a minute on the number sense. You have your story problem. Technically, the first one we're going to be looking for is Unit 2, Day 17. You could have skipped 16 if you wanted to. I think it has something to do with, let me look, girls and they're sharing some candy. So go ahead and dig that problem out. We are on to the threes for practice this week. Make sure you dig those out and get ready to practice your threes. And there's already a video up about how to play subtraction spins. So make sure you grab that or watch that video and practice those up. All right. So let's take a look. This is technically Monday's work right here. But Monday's work was helping you to learn how to do today's work. So let's take 2 seconds and look at this. It was basically asking you to take a place value chart like the one I made here and draw a picture of decimal multiplication. So the first one said 5 copies of 3/10. Well, here's my 3/10. 1, 2, 3. Then I wanted 5 copies of that. In other words, I should have this 5 times. So 1, 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets. Okay? Now you guys know that I can't have 15/10 because as soon as I put some of those together, they're going to come out to a whole. Every 10/10 represents a whole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These would all go over to this and become one whole. So 3 copies of 5/10 is actually one whole and 5/10. Which, if I would have done the math and had 3/10 times 5, you guys know that 3 times 5 is 15. But because of that decimal place, or decimal point, I need 1 in my answer because there was 1 in my problem. So it's right there. All right, let's do another one really fast so that we can keep going. It said 3 times 6/10. So actually, I'm going to skip that one because we already did one with tenths. If you did 3 times 6/10, if you actually did the work, you would have done 3 times 6 is 18. 1 decimal in your problem, so 1 decimal in your answer. There it is. The picture would have looked a lot like this. The third one from yesterday was 6 times 400ths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, but then I need 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of that. And again, for every 10 hundredths, I get a 10th rod. Think back to those little tens blocks and things like that. You guys know that every time I get 10 of the little pieces, I can make a 10 rod, and every 10 rods makes a whole, and that kind of a thing. So let's see, I had 8, here's 10. In this case, I think I can make another 10 right here. And that's left me with 4. So I'm actually going to end up with 2 in the holes, or 2 in the tenths place this time. Sorry, because I was in hundredths. I can go up 2 tenths. And then I still have 4 left. Mathematically, that looks like this. I had 4 hundredths, which means I need to be 2 decimal place values over. And I had 6 rounds of that. So that makes 24. Those rules still apply. So I get that. But this time I had 2 decimal places in my question, so I need to have 2 in my answer, which is what I have in my picture. I now have 2 tenths, that's this, and 4 hundredths that didn't get renamed, that's this. The last one from yesterday was the same thing, but with thousandths, so they were actually way over here. It said 4 thousandths 3 times, so there's once, twice, 3 times. Again, for every 10, I get to move over to the next place value and call this one of those. So this would look like no tenths, 100th, and 2,000ths, which mathematically is this. I had 4 thousandths 3 times. That comes out, oops, thousandths. And then I have a 0. And because I had 1, 2, 3 place values in my answer, I need 3 place values in my answer. Okay, so there's a really quick version of that. So let's apply that to an actual math problem, which is what you need to be working on for Tuesday. Okay, so I'm just going to set this up for traditional. I think that's where most of you did your math anyway, so I will help you out with that. And these are multiplying just like any normal multiplication problem, except in the end you need to consider your decimal because of the things we were doing here. Like in this last problem, the decimal was way over here. I didn't have anything here. I had 1 for my hundredths and 2 left for my thousands, which is what my decimal shows me in my answer. So let's go back and look. This is just like multiplying, just all the way through. So you start with your first set of place values. That comes out to 32. I can't do that. 8 times 0 is 0. But I have the extra 3 that I renamed. So that can come down. And then this is 40. Now I'm going to go back and think about my decimals. I had 2 place values in my problem, which means I need to have 2 place values behind a decimal in my answer. So my final answer is going to be 40 and 32 hundredths. All right, let's try this one. Same thing, I'm going to set it up like this. And you can use your other methods on this one. That's absolutely fine. Just make sure you consider your decimals when you do it, because you're not multiplying whole numbers anymore. You're multiplying wholes and decimals. So for this one, you're going through, I know some of you get messed up by the 2-digit number in the bottom. Remember, the first round, you only consider the number in the ones place. So I'm going through 8 times 5 is 40. And keep multiplying all the way through. That's 24. 4 more is 28. Oh, give me 2. 8 times 1 is 8. 2 is 10. There you go. I've made it all the way through the problem with this. I'm going to cross those out so they don't distract me now. I'm going over here. Remember, this isn't a 1, it's a 10. So I'm putting down the place value for my 10, and then it's just multiplying through. You guys know how it works when we multiply with ones. So I'm going to add all that up. I'll consider my place value in a second. Don't worry, I haven't lost my mind. Okay, and then I have 2 place values in my problem. So I'm going to have 2 place values in my answer. All right, which takes us right here, one last one, and then the last problem is on you. Go through and do just your plain old multiplication. 6 times 5 is 30. Still 30, but the extra 3 makes me call it 33. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus the extra 3 is 21. Add a 0. Now remember, I finished this one. That's where my 0 came from. I'm not looking at this as 4. I'm looking at it as 40. Crossing those out so I don't get myself confused. Now I'm multiplying 4 all the way through. 4 times 5 is 20. It's still 20, but the extra 2 makes it 22. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus the extra that I renamed, which would have been like when we were moving pictures over in the other one. I've renamed this to 12, 13, 14. Add them all up. 0, 3, 3, 6, 1. I have 2 decimals behind a problem in my answer, or in my problem, which means I need 2 decimals behind it in my answer. Here's my final answer, 163 and 3/10. Okay? You need to do this last problem for your work for your teacher today. Have a great day, guys.